live Nge FM in Kasese, 98.0 West Nile FM in Arua, Totore Radio FM 90 in Karamoja, and 93.0 Voice of Mundbujo. Now you're covered in your local language. UBC Radios, inspiring Uganda.
Honey, Panange, why are you not responding?
I've been tethering the goats.
Hey, okay.
Anything wrong?
Not as such. But sweetheart,
What?
Mama, is it true drinking alcohol can help prevent COVID-19?
No, my darling. That is going beyond. The simple remedy is you should often wash your hands with soap and running water. Wear a mask while in public and keep a distance of at least 2 meters from another person. And in case of any symptoms, seek medical advice from a professional doctor.
Okay.
Yes.
What about spraying alcohol on my body? Can it kill the virus inside?
No, my dear. It can only damage your skin, but cannot kill the virus inside you.
Thanks, my husband, for educating me.
You're welcome.
I now know that if everyone took up their responsibility,
Yes?
we can together fight the coronavirus.
Yes, my dear wife. The fight against coronavirus is in your hands. This is a message from UBC. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Coffee is the most traded tropical commodity in the world and therefore has a assured market. If you have land suitable for coffee growing, you are advised to grow coffee to ensure sustainable income for your household and improved livelihood. This message is brought to you by Uganda Coffee Development Authority. For detailed information, please contact your nearest coffee extension officer in your district or call toll-free line 0800 35 3530. Coffee rehabilitation through stamping improves coffee tree productivity because this makes the tree regain its youthful vigor to give the farmer more coffee and as a result, more money. Therefore, farmers are advised to stamp all the old coffee trees that have reached 10 years and above. It is also beneficial to apply fertilizers to stamped coffee trees to quicken sucker development and growth. Farmers should not worry about the lost income during the first year after stamping because this is recovered in the increased productivity per tree attained in subsequent years after stamping. Therefore, stamp your old coffee trees for more productivity and more income. This message is brought to you by Uganda Coffee Development Authority. For detailed information, please contact your nearest coffee extension officer in your district or call toll-free line 0800 35 3530.
Oh, you've given your in-laws and co-wife something to think about for years. You've given them a piece of your mind.
They are joking. How can they say that if I'm to get any property of my late husband, they will just be helping me?
But if you continue misbehaving, you will totally get nothing.
Hey, they are dreaming. Daydreaming. I have been with my husband for 15 years. I have 3 children, and we even did DNA before he died.
You know?
Let us go to Uncle. They will see fire. We left them laughing. When we come back with Uncle, we shall leave them crying.
If not begging you.
Uncle is not a job.
Yeah.
He will take over full control and even chair the distribution meeting. Hey.
But your wife was very silent, just looking at you.
She knows me.
Yeah.
During the burial, I pushed her and she fell down. She didn't want me to make a speech. I had Uncle's bodyguards guarding me. Let us bring Uncle. Uncle, that is the situation. All those years, how can they say that I don't qualify to inherit anything from my husband's estate?
You did not wed in church or mosque, did you?
No.
Did you perform the traditional or customary introduction ceremony, or you went to the registrar?
No, Uncle. None of those. But
It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about that. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customary tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Welcome to Ground Zero Season 2, a show that brings you in-depth discussion ranging from politics, health, finance, sports, and so much more. Ground Zero Season 2.
Hello Uganda, hello Africa and the world at large. You are most welcome to this edition of Ground Zero. We're broadcasting live on 98 FM UBC radio. We're also live and clear on our sister radio stations, UBC Butebo FM, West Nile FM, and Magic 100 FM. We're also streaming live online on YouTube. You just enter UBC Ground Zero. You'll be part of this conversation. This is a very good day that I believe that the Lord has made, and we must be glad and rejoice in it. This is yet another important edition of Ground Zero. We're going to discuss something different but also important. We're going to talk about something that concerns most of Ugandans, the youth, the elderly, women, men, and children. We're talking about unemployment. It has come to the point that many Ugandans are suffering not because they are sick, but because they don't have where they can put their efforts and be able to earn. And everyone is asking, where is the problem? 40 years, 30 years. Why is the problem? Who is the problem? What are the challenges? What is that has failed the government? What is that has failed the private sector? What is that has failed the people of Uganda? That most people in Uganda, especially the youth, are still unemployed. Our topic today, we are looking at the locally grown solutions against unemployment in Uganda. It is a very big privilege and honor that I've been joined by a special team of guests who are going to discuss important issues of national development, but also address people's concerns. On my way to work today, I was in a boda, and there was a young man who held on the very bike that I was on, skating for about 5 kilometers on a very busy road. Life, coming to the city to work and make a living. Skating, not that he lacked, but he wanted to be in the city and have something to eat. The city I'm talking about is the capital city of this beautiful country. Professional teachers are operating clinics because they were unable to get opportunities where they could teach. Professional doctors are not in this country, but are giving their labor to some other countries that could afford to pay them. Our people are dying in hospitals when the professional doctors are rearing chicken, goats, and sheep because they are unpaid, or perhaps no one is willing to pay them. Until when is this going to be solved? In the studios, I have Francis Sirinya, Chief Membership Officer, Private Sector Foundation Uganda. I have Agatha Namirembe Arembe, is the chairperson Uganda Public Employees Union. Msing's Kalmax is the senior labor officer from the Ministry of Labor, of Gender, Labor and Social Development. Starting with Agatha, you're going to greet our dear listener and we'll start our ground zero. Agatha?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, our listeners. Ground Zero and those fans of Ground Zero have also become one of the fans of Ground Zero because of the encouraging
amazing
topics that they bring on board that really are geared to look at the population at large, not politicking, but talking issues. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be invited to this program where we talk about solutions, some of the solutions that have been put in place to address issues of unemployment, which we'll all know is really a problem in Uganda. But I'm glad to be here, and I hope we will discuss with my three colleagues and our presenter important issues that will change even our mindsets, because some of the unemployment for me is about mindset. Thank you so much.
I'm most welcome. Francis?
Good morning to you, Amon, and my colleagues on the panel this morning. I'm very glad to be part of the Ground Zero discussions and discussing a topic that is very dear to everybody in Uganda, that is employment. And I really look forward to a very good, beneficial engagement this morning.
Most welcome. Kalmax?
Good morning, listeners. We are happy to partake of this discussion this morning, and we would like at the same time to thank you for selecting this theme. It is very topical, it is very fundamental, and we look forward to fruitful exchange with the listenership. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. This is UBC Ground Zero. In case you want to be part of this conversation, you'll reach us on 776-511-426. The number you will call us on is 776-511-426, and you share your idea on what you think needs to be done in this country. Who is the problem? How best can we solve such challenges? And we have a better Uganda. A Uganda that is fit for everybody to live, a Uganda where somebody is able to provide a meal to his family or her family, Uganda that everyone will be proud. Francis says this is a dear topic, but to me it is a scare one. We are about to, is it tomorrow that we're going to celebrate International Labor Day? And most of the Ugandans, especially the youth, is the mourning day. They are not mourning because anyone has died, but they are mourning because their professionalism, their expertise, their labor is dying in their hands. 15 years, 10 years, no one is welcoming them to work. Where is Uganda going? Agatha, what is that about Uganda Public Employees Union? If we happen to know what your organizations or the departments you lead do, perhaps we shall know where to run in case we need help from you. Agatha?
Our presenter, Uganda Public Employees Union is a trade union. We call them trade unions or labor unions. These are organizations of workers that come together for a cause to champion their issues on welfare, to advocate for their rights as workers, to improve on the terms and conditions of service, and also to defend the workers when they have issues. We also advocate for policies that will change our nature of work and make sure that the workers work in a conducive environment regards to occupational health and safety. So basically, Uganda Public Employees Union recruits or gets its members from government, parastatal bodies and agencies. That's where we draw our membership. In Uganda, we have quite many unions. Uganda Public Employees Union is just one of them. And all sectors of workers are covered in different unions. You will find there is a nurses union, the teachers union, farmers, plantation. There are quite a number of them. Some are in the informal sector, like the markets union, creative arts, and quite a number. All workers are covered in these trade unions. There's one for transport and security. So each and every worker in the country is covered, including public sector workers. People in the ministries are also covered under these organizations. So our focus is mainly to look at the terms and conditions of service that we serve in, to make sure that the government also creates enabling laws for the workers to enjoy their labor, to benefit and also benefit the economy. Because whenever you use a worker who is happy, definitely that worker's productivity will be high there. So that's basically about the trade unions, and requests workers out there, please seek and see the trade union that you can belong to. Because what we do is we get a collective voice, and our strength is from the numbers. If you get a collective voice and you have people to advocate for you, then our issues can be heard at a higher level. Thank you.
Most welcome. Msings Kalmax, what is that department you're in about? How is the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, and any other thing that you would love to know about your ministry? Kalmax.
Basically, our ministry is one of the fulcrum ministries, and it takes on the labor aspect in the whole country. It manages labor, industrial relations, employment issues, occupational safety, and health. Labor, of course, includes employment issues, generation of employment, decent work, and all other issues and dynamics that are incidental to that function. The Department of Employment Services is the integral department within the entire framework of that ministry that is at the forefront of trying with others to strategize feasible action plans that are aimed at ensuring that sufficient employment outcomes in programs, projects, interventions of government, and the 18 national development programs as outlined in the third National Development Plan 2020, 2021, 2024, 2025 accrue to our labor market entrants and those ones that are already in the national labor market. That's what we do. That's what we intend to do in the short, medium, and long-term perspectives. That's what I can summarize as being core of what we do. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. Francis Sirinya.
Thank you very much, and listeners once again. I come from Private Sector Foundation Uganda. Private Sector Foundation Uganda is a private membership organization. It is an agency
that was formed in 1995 by very important business people led by the late James Morana at that time, working together with government and development partners to set up an organization that would represent the private sector in Uganda. The private sector is everybody who does business, everybody who does not earn their living through a payment or a check from government. So whether you are somebody on a farm, in a factory, in a bank, privately owned bank, and all manner of activities, you are somebody we are required as PSFU to represent you in discourse, in discussions, in engagement with government and policymakers to ensure that the environment under which we do business is conducive, is supportive to ensuring that our businesses thrive, and then when they thrive, we are able to provide employment. We are also required to grow the private businesses in Uganda through conducting capacity building programs. Capacity building or capacity is really a very wide word, as you should say, but it includes so many things, from skilling, from identifying technology, from building linkages and networks, to working on standards, markets, and all the entire things that are required to enable a business to really thrive. So to date, we are about 307 members, and this is because membership of the PSFU is through companies, is through associations. Now, associations are the majority. The companies are fewer that become members of PSFU, because to qualify to be a corporate member, you really need to be a substantially big company. But in total today, we are about 307 members. Now, under these, the various associations below us, like for instance, Manufacturers Association, Bankers Association, Insurers Association, Farmers Association, and many. Under them, we have anywhere between 1.2 million to 2.7 million business establishments. So we are really a very large fraternity of people, of businesses in Uganda, and I should say that we are really the biggest employer, so to say, in this country. So that is what we are as PSFU, and I'm so pleased this morning to be talking to audiences in Arua, in Kampala, in Mbale, Soroti, and so many places across the country. Mm-hmm. We as PSFU, we are determined now to be in your faces wherever you are in Uganda. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you are in Kampala, whether you are in Arua, whether you are somewhere very far from there. We'll be there.
Do you have branches in all the places that you've mentioned?
Not yet, but we are rolling out that particular program, and we'll be with them.
We pray you reach there.
Yes.
Ground Zero on 98 FM, UBC Radio. We're also live and clear on our sister radio stations, UBC Butebo, UBC Western Nile, Magic 100 FM, and we're also streaming live on YouTube. You enter UBC Ground Zero and you'll be part of this conversation. Before we look at the locally grown solutions against unemployment in Uganda, is it possible to first know what is employment? Maybe someone is somewhere unemployed but is not aware that he's unemployed. Musingus, what is unemployment in your own understanding and how you understand it as government?
Basically, unemployment denotes a situation in which one is available one is searching for that economic opportunity called employment. One is able, one has skills or not or no skills to engage in an economic activity, but is unable to find one. That's basically what I can try to explain regarding unemployment in the simplest terms, so that it can be holistically understood. Employment also means engagement in any activity that can accrue economic benefit or contribute to the welfare of that person and the people that depend on that person, basically. That's what I can also explain regarding employment.
Okay. Francis, based on the statistics that shows that the unemployment rate in Uganda that was published on 2nd Feb 2022 by Aaron Onrail, shows that from 1999 to 2020, the unemployment rate has been to 2.44%. In 1999, we had 2.56%. It shot to 3.6% in 2004, reduced in 2005 to 1.9%, shot again 3.6% in 2009. Until that time, it has been reducing and increasing and reducing and increasing, but we are seeing more of the increase than the reduction. Up to date, has shot again in 2022 to 2.44%. What is the problem?
Yeah, thank you very much, Amon, for really framing this particular problem, and I really want to thank the previous presenter for really giving us the definition of unemployment. Very clearly, very, very, very clearly, unemployment is a big, big challenge in the country. You could also look at it from the another perspective, for which we've been told already that if, for instance, you looked at graduates, people who come out of higher education institutions in the country every year, they're about 700,000 every year, but only about 150 of these can be employed can be absorbed into what we call employment, meaning that the rest 550,000, that is 500,000 people, remain unemployed. But further still, remember that there are also those people who are going to be entering the job market, but who are not necessarily graduates, or who are not necessarily people who have gone through higher education institutions, like people who get off the formal education system. They come into the employment. They also come into the employment world. But you can see that we absorb very few.
Why enroll the uneducated?
Yes, very few of these. Yes, very few of these are being enrolled into employment, which is a big issue. Now, let me talk from the why do we see this particular situation. Let me talk from first of all from my constituency, which is the business community, and tell you exactly what we see is the challenge. Now, one, we realize at our companies that the rate of creation of employment is really very limited. There are just too few job openings, either in government or even in the private sector. And this is something that is created by companies' inability to expand and grow significantly because of lack of markets. Every time you have a market, you are able to expand your production activities. And when you expand your production activities, it means you're going to require
additional labor. So this is such a binding constraint to the private sector because of lack of markets. Before COVID, the statistics we were working with from our member Uganda Manufacturers Association showed that companies were only operating at 53% capacity, meaning that if your company would be able to make 100 pieces of, say, loaves of bread, you could only make 53 of them in a day, because the 47, even if you made them, they will not find a buyer. So you don't have to buy to do them. So now, after COVID, then that even made it even worse, because it created some challenges of lockdowns and closures, and then it's now about, it came to about 33%. We are now seeing it rising again. So the issue of market is a very big challenge on the business side, and it is really failing companies from employing more people. Now, there are other challenges on the company that companies face that affect their ability to grow and supply the jobs that we need. Now, later on, we shall be talking about, we possibly will share with you what we think should be done to improve the growth of companies so that we are able to expand and provide the jobs that we need. Right. Now, but on the supply side, the people who we employ, there are also things we notice as the business community. Many times people show up for work, come to apply for positions, and they are recruited. But we find that the kind of skills and competences that they have do not match what we expect as the employers, and therefore they are not able to perform. They are not able to give us the kind of results we expected.
And so you recruit the uneducated?
And that it's not about education, no. It's about competences and skills. So there is that mismatch. People go through. I
thought every educated or the professionals have that that is required as skills and competences. Do we have the educated who don't have competences and skills?
Yes, theoretically. Yes, when we go to, our education system at the moment, I think there is some changes that are coming, which we are up about. But currently, when we sit in classes, when we go through the education system, we are really getting knowledge there, which is a very good thing. Knowledge is what we are consuming, is what we come out of school with, knowledge. But putting that knowledge into practice is what we call skills. So the skills is what we miss. Somebody gave us a very good example. One employer said that, you see, he is a contractor, they're in construction. So you go to a university and say, I'm this contractor, this is the kind of money I give, best the salaries in the industry. And say, give your best candidates. And they say, oh, this one has a first class, the other one is second, upper, and we grade ourselves. So you take them. Now, when you take them, instead of asking you for overalls and helmets, and because they ask you for offices and the AC, air-conditioned office. Now, where on earth would you as an engineer, either civil engineer, electrical engineer, or whatever engineer, why on earth would you be looking for an air-conditioned office? Your work is different.
Then Agatha will tell you about the occupational safety, that it is required.
So, no. What I'm emphasizing is you can see the mismatch. Somebody is trained as an engineer. He thinks that their job is going to be to sit in an office and write papers and be in meetings. That is not what it is. It means being involved in the work yourselves. Measure things, make sure the tractors are moving correctly, compacting and doing all the things. That is what that's why I say.
I thought it is a corrective force that we need people in offices, but also those that go to the field.
No.
We can't all go to the field, and all of us can't go to office.
No, I agree with you. But you realize that the skill that you have and what you come out within the university. It has not actually even guided you that, look, you have to begin on the line. You have to begin with the physical work before you can even talk about offices. So you see,
what is the problem? Is it the education or
yes,
the people who get out of the universities not consuming effectively what they have been taught?
Yes. No, it is how we educate our children. I've told you that we sit in classes to consume knowledge. You sit, the lecturer sits or stands beside a blackboard, a whiteboard, whatever you call it these days, and then we are sitting this side. And they are giving us knowledge, and we are taking in the knowledge. But they are not giving us any skill at all, which we are going to be using in our work.
Okay.
Other examples have been given. Children who are out of the faculty of agriculture or whatever, they are qualified in agriculture, but then they are not. When they come out of school, they don't even have gardens. They are not even able to practice the agriculture that they learn in theory, meaning that there is something there that we should work on, which is on the skill side.
All right.
Now, that is why, for us as Private Sector Foundation, we've prioritized something called skilling to ensure that children, when they come out of universities, when they get employed, they are able to be upskilled, to be able to provide and do the work that is available in the employment.
After students are out of university, after being employed, you skill them.
Yeah, because that is the fact. I can tell you, when you joined, I'll give you a good example. My first job was teaching, because I graduated from the School of Education in the university. The beauty is that we used to have those preco trainings. I don't remember what they used to call them. I taught for 3 years and left. But when you at least you would go with that skill, some practice, but very little of what I was able to do in class actually came from my studies. No, it came from experiences and mentoring of the other people that I used to work with.
Mr.
And I think,
Xilenya,
yes.
How about skilling these people before they get enrolled? Because in Uganda, to get a job, you have to have an experience. Why do you wait for them to be employed first, then you skill them?
Yes, I was giving the situation as it is today. That's what it is. And for us as Private Sector Foundation, we have already realized this particular problem. That for those who have finished their studies and have even got employment, we work on upskilling them to make them able to do work for which they are employed to do.
Okay.
But there are those who are just coming out of the university and are not even employed. And everywhere they try to find a job, they ask them for 2 years experience, 3 years experience, and all of that stuff. And where are they going to get this? So we have created what we call a work readiness program now, which is going to help bridge the gap, help the students coming out of the university, graduates coming out of universities and higher education institutions, take them through a process that makes them ready for work, i.e. expose them to real work experiences, place them with the employers, companies, and so on and so forth. They get the practice skills. But also, as we work with them, we are helping them to build their other competences, which are not actually taught in schools. You know very well that, for instance, I think there are very few courses of training in our education institutions that train you on things like teamwork at workplaces, communication, things like ethics, that when you go to work, whatever you find there is something that is of value. It is not yours. You have to really manage it with that kind of due care. Nobody teaches you these things.
All right.
So we are helping to train now graduates with all those competences, so that when they combine their technical capacity, their technical skills, and the experience they get from working with companies.
Okay. Let me get Agatha. Maybe I'll get to you. later on, Mr. Xilinya. Agatha, you've heard from Francis and Karl Marx. Francis says that the non-qualified are enrolled to the job market and the most qualified are sent to the villages to cultivate. Where is this leaving the future of this country? Where do you think the problem is? What is the challenge? Who is the problem? Agatha.
Thank you so much. The problem of unemployment, the levels at which it is, where some people are able to get into employment very fast, yet others are not, despite their education, despite the papers they have. For me, in my view, and I think that is the view of many, we come back to our education system. That is the starting point. What are we teaching our children? Uganda, from a long time, our education system has been, we focus very much on bringing out people who will work and look for white-collar jobs. So whichever graduate comes out starts looking for a job in offices, in formal settings. So that is a challenge, is part of our education system. That's what we are doing. There are changes are being made. We should focus more on skills and also focus more on what we have in our labor market. What does the country need? So a lot of research needs to go into which kinds of skills do we need to impart to our young people, so that when they come out, they are not only looking for jobs, but they also be able to create their own jobs, to employ themselves. So the percentage of people who do that are quite few, and I have seen they are mostly in the technical institutions. The people who go to do carpentry, building, welding, those are able to come out immediately and create their own jobs or join what is already in the formal setting. So we need to look forward towards that seriously. But again, we find that people who go into those technical institutions are people who have dropped out of school, who people think are less intelligent and so on. They drop out for different reasons, but sometimes it's failure in the education and passing exams. So we need to find a way of how we can upgrade these technical institutions, so people are attracted there also, instead of going to universities where they look for white-collar jobs. Then another thing is people study to pass exams, and that is it. That is the method that we have of teaching. You teach people so that they can pass to the next level. When you ask, and this was a point of discussion yesterday among our workmates, someone was photocopying some homework, and the challenge was, I don't remember even studying this, but actually we studied these things. So I actually told them, the system we passed through was looking at passing exams, and that it was just preparing us for passing exams. It never prepared us for the job challenges that we face. So we need to also address that issue. And sometimes when people are out of the education system, their mindset is looking for a job. It's a mindset issue. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want the dirty jobs. Yet there is a lot of employment there. Look at agriculture. If we are focusing on, we are talking about issues of improving the household. There are various forms of employment in that area. But we have this mindset that if I have a degree, I should not be seen doing some particular kind of work. It's not only the individual, but it's also the society that we are in. We look at people regarding their level of education. If someone is a PhD person, then you will see someone being regarded as a high-class citizen. Yet at the end of the day, even if I don't have my degree, I can still be able to do something in society. So those are some of the things that I see. Then lack of skills is also something that is putting us back. Which are the skills that we need in this country? Has there been any deliberate effort to look at our labor market and see what does it demand? Can we get these skills? I've seen it in employment and in investors that come in to create jobs for Ugandans. At the end of the day, all jobs that need special skills, they will tell you there is lack of skills, and so they bring in their own people.
And at the end of the day, we miss our purpose.
So we miss the purpose of creating employment. So you'll find that most of the people will go into the casual work in these factories, in these setups, but we never employ Ugandans in those key positions because of lack of skills. For me, I would have imagined that if an investor comes in place and brings a factory, even if he's bringing skills, he should also train Ugandans. 3-4 years down the road, you should tell us the Ugandans he has trained.
They will tell you they need resources to do that.
But training is in different forms. It can be on-job training. It can be, upgrading. So those are some of the things that we need to tap in. I think Uganda has to make policies, especially under this investment authority, Uganda Investment Authority. They should do better. That if you're bringing in someone, train someone along the line who will also take over and also maybe even be able to set up different factories. Then another issue I look at is technology. The current technology we have, it has also affected the number of people we can employ.
It would have been a blessing?
Yes, it would have been a blessing, but if you compare the number of people, for example, go to the breweries. Formerly, I did my industrial training in one of the Uganda breweries. Then, and the numbers were very, very high on those lines. Today, if you go there, a bottling line is operated by one person, where we had about 50 picking broken bottles, replacing them, and what. By this time, everything is being automated. Go to our water,
machines.
Yes, go to our water industry, same story. A shift that used to have around 14 people, today can be operated by 4. So even technology that we have, I know in some issues it has created opportunities in the ICT. People are able to do more, but still, if you compare the numbers have really, really, really dwindled. So that's for me where I see the problems. People should change their mindset. They should change the culture of thinking that only people with the degrees matter. And those with the degrees should know they can do any kind of job. Then also our education system. That is where the catch is then.
Are you in any way saying that we should have our children out of this education system and they get enrolled in technical institutions for skilling? Considering the situation and the requirements of the job markets and the future of this country?
We still need people who would be in administration and management and accounts. But this country, for it to develop, it needs more technical people who are hands-on, who can actually go there. If you are an engineer, and I've seen this, if you are an engineer, why should you stay in your office? Because you don't have a job there in the office. There are administrative people to do that. You need to go out there and be innovative and create solutions and solve issues. And also create opportunities for other people. You should not sit there in your office and sit. Then we have people who are really talented in other areas that we are not looking at. For example, Why should someone who is really talented in sports also go to seek sit exams for history, chemistry, yet knowing that this person is going to be using his skills? Okay. So we should also look at that, using our skills, using our talents, using our passions as avenues of removing unemployment.
In the first place, why would the government encourage the education system that is not going to be of importance to the children and the nationals of this country? I was taught the Tennessee Valley, the British Columbia, all the forests in Switzerland, and I don't know anything in Uganda. For what importance is such an education system going to help not only Ugandans but also this country?
This country needs people who are innovative and problem solvers. It doesn't need people who are just in books and looking at what other people have done. We should also have our homemade solutions and address them. We have so many resources that we can turn into gold, that we are not doing that because maybe our education systems have not exposed us to that level that we can be able to do our own things, but rely basically on things that are imported in. You say a product that is made in Uganda, someone would go to a product made in England because it says it's made in England.
And
so
I've also seen
mindsets are also very important.
And I've also seen products from some countries written on not for consumption for this country, but for export, and we are effectively and enjoying them. Yeah. Okay, Karl Marx.
Yes.
You work for the government.
Yes.
Where is the problem? How best can we solve this problem? What are some of the grown-up solutions against unemployment? What has the government done to solve this challenge? Karl Marx?
Thank you very much. Viewers, we all appreciate that every country has got structural constraints. Part of the structural constraints has been the high cost of energy. If you look at hydroelectric power, for example, a unit has been at 11 cents of a dollar, but I think government is doing everything possible to bring it to 5 cents of a dollar. Infrastructure, roads have been constructed, hydroelectric power dams are being constructed, but if you broadly look at unemployment, for example, you have to look at the underlying causes as structural in nature. Then, of course, you have to look at the imperfections in labor markets, employment markets. Some of these imperfections, of course, if you are interviewing a person, you need to be holistic and score this person on a myriad of competencies. It is at times not possible to determine through a short formal interview that such a person has technical skills, has theoretical skills, have communication skills. So at times some of these competencies are not given adequate attention to, and in both private and other sectors at times a person who is not an all-rounder ends up being employed. And of course, skills. If you look at the National Development Plan, the third National Development Plan, as I've stated, 2020, 21, 24, 25, there are skills shortages. And I would like readers to address themselves from page 44 to around page 198. The National Planning Authority has done a holistic assessment of the skills requirements across the 15 national development programs, and they have come up with 164,000 skills that are in short supply. So that means at times you want to employ people in the oil and gas sector, you want to employ people in ICT, you want to employ people in, say, banking, tourism, and others, but you cannot readily find them. How many oncologists, for example, do we have? Pediatricians? How many, for example, stomologists do we have? So you have to look at it from that perspective. And from 1969 to the current year, though the training curriculum has been evolving, possibly it has not evolved that much, although efforts really are underway and are being implemented to ensure that we have all the skills we need. Capacity building, both internally and externally, are being undertaken to ensure that we have all the skills that we require.
Okay.
Those are the three areas that you may look at in terms of the underlying imperatives that have caused unemployment. Suffice it to say that there are so many interventions that are being undertaken to solve unemployment. If you look at Uganda Investment Authority, for example, it has been at the forefront of attracting both foreign direct and local direct investment. If you look at the statistics, say from 1990 to 2014, we have been able to attract 693 local and foreign direct investments, and we have been able to create 1.3 million jobs. And if you look at Uganda Free Zones Authority, for example, 2021 figures, they have been able to attract 71 million US dollars worth of investments, and they have been able to create 6,382 direct employment opportunities, and so many other activities that the government is undertaking and doing to create employment through government funds, through government programs. If you look at UPE as a government program, government has been able to create 266,000 jobs. In teachers in the USE program, 667,000. Private capital, private investment in education at pre-primary, primary, and universal and secondary education, including the universities, private universities, 112,788 employment opportunities have been created. If you look at, for example, Uganda Development Bank in 2019 alone, through their loans that they offer, 77,000 jobs have been created, and in 2020, 61,107 jobs have been created. So much as there are issues or dynamics that have created employment, there are several interventions that are taking place at government and private sector level to generate the jobs that we need. I will divulge more as we move on.
All right. Karl Marx, you've mentioned about the government attracting the foreign investors to come and invest in our economy. The same investors come and they are given free land. They use this very land to seek for the loan. They get the loan, they invest in the economy that is itself not self-sustaining. After getting the loan and the land, this investor gets the people from his home country as experts. They come and operate in these factories and industries or any other venture that he has established or started. At the end of the day, the Ugandans are the end consumers of these products. They are overcharged. The Ugandans are overcharged because the investor wants to pay this loan, and all the profits that are made by this investor are taken back to the home country. Where is Uganda benefiting when our children are not a part of these industries as workers and experts? When we are overcharged, when we have given our land, when we are paying the same loans for these investors, and when we are paying or being overcharged?
Thank you for the good question. Firstly, every country world over, and I'm talking about 195 countries in the whole world, give incentives deliberately and consciously to investors. So that is not only specific or particularistic to Uganda. And it is a good practice if you are going to be able to quote both local and foreign direct investments. And these incentives have not only been limited to foreign direct investment, but to local direct investment as well. There are so many examples that can attest to this. Now, in terms of the broad benefits that accrue, I wouldn't say that our people have not gained benefits. Look at the Namave Industrial Park, for example. 72 factories and industries, 30,000 employment opportunities. We have now 4,600 factories and industries in Uganda, up from 1990 when we had 85 industries, and these ones have been able to employ 210,000 employees. And if you look at the expatriate staff or content, it's just between 8.9 to 9%. 90% of the employment content on these factories and industries, 90% of the employment outcomes, 90% of the employment derivatives from the 4,600 factories and industries, including the 72 factories and industries in Namave, are of local content. So I would say 90 out of 100 employees in these factories and industries are actually Ugandan.
Okay. In the first place, why expatriate? To that point of percentage, don't we have better engineers here? Don't we have good experts? Or we don't trust them?
No, we do, but as I've told you, you need to look at the National Human Resource Development Plan for Uganda. And you have to look at the National Development Plan for Uganda. There are 164,000 skills gaps that we have. There is not a single country in the whole world that has sufficient skills and competencies among its entire spectrum of population.
Okay.
So at times, once in a while, you will get manpower that you don't readily have in your national manpower inventory or depository. For example, if I may pose a question to you, how many aeronautic engineers do we have in Uganda?
Before we come to that, You say there are job opportunities, but we don't have people to be enrolled in that. Why doesn't government put mechanisms to train, nurture, or even give scholarships to such professionals? If we say we are going to invest in oil and gas, and we know that we have less, and the government would provide perhaps to do some courses at Makerere or in any other university, or perhaps have individuals that are interested and take them for scholarships outside Uganda. Is that difficult for the government?
No, that's a very good question. It's not difficult, and the government has done it. If you look at the universities now in Uganda, courses in oil and gas have evolved. And in 1987, for instance, government sponsored some technical staff in the energy and mineral development sector to go outside and study courses in the University of Aberdeen and other universities.
Can't government do that across other sectors, across all sectors?
And I'm happy they have been instrumental in our oil and gas industry that now has reached a phenomenal level of harnessing and development. And in other sectors as well. If you look, for example, at the health sector, different professionals are being trained in various fields, working in our hospitals and in other areas like education, teachers, and so many areas that we are seeing a rapid scale up of competencies and professions.
All right.
Yes.
This is UBC Radio.
Indeed, this is UBC Radio, and this is Ground Zero. We're broadcasting live on 98 FM, UBC Radio. We're also live and clear on our sister radio stations, UBC Butebo, UBC Western Nile, and Magical 100 FM. We're also streaming live on YouTube. You just enter UBC Ground Zero, you'll be part of this conversation. Ground Zero takes a very short break, and when I return, we're going to get your calls. You've been calling, but wanted to first understand this challenge and how best we can look at the solutions. So in the next hour of this program, we're going to get your calls. After this very short break, get your phone ready and be part of the conversation. We are coming back in a bit. I pray you don't go away.
It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the customer tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
As Uganda works towards Vision 2040, UBC Radio is dedicated to the development of Uganda. Join us every day for transformative programs in English, Swahili, and Luo. This is UBC Radio.
This is independent sound.
UBC has 11 sister radio stations spread throughout the country to educate, inform, and entertain. Tune in to UBC Radio FM 98, your national radio station, Magic 100, where sports and music is our life. 87.5 Star FM in Uganda, 97.4 UBC West covering Western Uganda, 102 Mega FM in Gulu, 97 FM Butebo Radio in Eastern Uganda, 107.0 Buduri FM, 100.5 Nge FM in Kasese, 98.0 West Nile FM in Arua, Total Radio FM 90 in Karamoja, and 93.0 Voice of Mundbujo. Now you covered in your local language.
UBC Radios, inspiring Uganda. Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Welcome back from that very short break. This is UBC Ground Zero. We are broadcasting live on 98 FM, UBC Radio. We also live and clear on our sister radio stations, UBC Butebo, UBC West Nile FM, and Magic 100 FM. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Enter UBC Ground Zero. You're going to be part of this conversation. We are talking about locally grown solutions against unemployment in Uganda. And in the studios, I have Msingu's Karl Marx is the Senior Labor Officer from the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. I also have Francis Ksirinya is the Chief Membership Officer from Private Sector Foundation Uganda. Agatha Namirembe Arembe is the Chairperson Uganda Public Employees Union. Ampaire Amon Butega is my name, and this is UBC Ground Zero. This is your right time to call on 776-511-426 and share your opinions about what you think needs to be done in Uganda about unemployment. UBC?
Yes, loud and clear from Busega here.
All right.
This is Juma.
Unemployment.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks to all the teams in the studio with you there.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, let me start with these investors. To me, I put our government in a big question mark. The reason being, when you are going to pick these investors to come and invest in our own land, it's not bad, it's good initiative. But terms and conditions, we need this government to be much transparent about. It is not all about accountability, but the model, the approaches they used, and the duration they will last. Some of them, they came here, 2 or 3, but they multiply every year, and others are even giving birth within here. But when we go to the procedures of work, citizen or non-citizen, we find that some biasness is there. We have, as Ugandan, we have natural resources. If you are bringing investors, first engage these locals. And I need some policy, enforcing some good policies for governing these investors. Let it be, if 3 years or 5 years, as they are installing the machine for gas and oil, because we have other citizens who are working in South Africa, who are working in Arab Emirates, who are working even in Europe. They are top engineers in those countries. Why don't we bring them back to work at home? Bring investors, sign with them agreement, you government, you sign with them agreement, you are going to be here to establish this factory or this industry. And the moment we have qualified ourselves here within the citizens here, the engineers, then you will make sure you will go back to your home country. They will give us some good light.
Okay.
Because now, the more we rely on their theories, because these PhD people, if they are not bad, yes, they have to be at the other side of the administration. And it is very simple to a PhD man to add 1002 to subtract 10 out of the budget.
Okay.
And you do this, the killing full person is suffering in the field there. And in the appointment letter, you can be even ready, you read by yourself, there will be milk, there will be breakfast at high VIP stages, but it is a theory.
Okay.
It is not even practical. Then what do I say? It is a corruption there. You know? So, documentation, when it comes to permit, some of these investors, some of them are sending even their prisoners from their home country to come and work here in Uganda. But the way the government will consider those people, since they are different allies, it tells me we are not transparent. So I'm crying about our government, transparency and accountability and finally corruption. We have to fight corruption.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Most welcome, Juma.
Juma. Yes, thank you.
Most welcome. 776-511-426 and be part of UBC Ground Zero. What do you think needs to be done in Uganda to reduce unemployment issue? UBC?
Hello.
UBC?
Yes, this is John Obot from Tororo.
John who?
John Obot from Tororo.
Yes.
John Obot.
Yes,
Obot John.
you are clear. Yes, John. Your concern, please.
my concern is I'm also youth below 28 even.
Okay.
That this issue of unemployment is all over the country. That now, if the government wants to fight this, the reason is the most people who are the corruption in the country, the one which leads to unemployment in the country.
Okay.
Why? Because like now you find that someone who has who is in the top of the leadership will want the family members to continue to do what, to own the position, but they don't want this, like us who don't have those people cannot be considered.
Okay.
Another thing, now when after education they said that they need 3 years experience. Like me, I'm a carpenter. One day I went to Kampala to seek for an opportunity. They said that we need 3 years experience. Now,
Okay.
3 years experience from school, they ask you for 3 years experience. Why don't you give us the job we try? And you find that those in the universities, they try, they fail, and they are capable from things.
All right.
Thank you for the program.
Most welcome about John. Greetings to the people of Toloro. 98 FM UBC Radio. What do you think needs to be done to solve the unemployment issue? UBC?
Yes, good morning.
A very good morning to you.
Yes. And for me, I'm giving in my opinion
Okay.
as per education department. Earlier on, they said each school, anyway, they put a ratio of about 45 per teacher, whereby they allocated some schools only 7 teachers plus the head teacher 8. But now you'll find that there are some schools whereby, like a government school, you'll find only 60 teachers plus the deputy. And that very deputy even acts as a head teacher. That means that deputy ends up with the 3 posts, working as a deputy, at the same time working as a head teacher, at the same time taking up all subjects to teach.
Okay. Your name and where you're calling from?
I was of the opinion, at least if they could give 2 extra teachers, which makes at least a total of 10 teachers.
Okay.
For that school.
Okay.
Eh?
All right.
To share the workload.
Your name and where you're calling us from?
I'm Helen calling from Matuga.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much.
And you know, some of this is because we have to account.
Okay.
We also have to fall sick. They see maybe somebody has lost a person, has to go away.
Okay. All right.
You'll find the workload becomes
Thank you.
too much.
Thank you.
And
UBC, our time is first spent. Your name, where you're calling us from, your concern, or perhaps you have a solution. You say it, because our time is first spent. 776511426. You share your opinion, your name, and where you're calling from. UBC?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
This is Robert Laxonic.
Yes, Robert.
Yeah, yes, I'm very grateful to hear what is on the ground.
You're calling us from where?
I'm in Kayunga.
All right.
Now, what is now happening in Uganda, most especially, is corruption. The second thing, what I can talk about, these investors, these white people. For me, what I'm seeing in Uganda, they used to see these white people as God in Uganda. For sure, when you go to the factory like this Kachira, and you get the amount of the money people are working there, you cannot even buy a soap.
Okay. Thank you.
At least when these white people come, the government must take those people in action to pay a Ugandans in a good amount.
Okay.
And actually in Uganda we have also those people who are studying. They have PhD. They have degree. Those people who did the fabrication work, they are there. But now you see, most of the work is under these white men, and those white men overworking this Uganda,
Okay.
and no money.
Thank you.
Uganda.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
UBC on 98 FM, UBC Radio, Butebo, Western Nile, and Magic 100 FM. Perhaps we're going to have more time next time. Today, the things have been so much to discuss, but it is important that we also get your opinions. Allow me go back to the studios. If we happen to get time, we are going to get more of the calls. This has been calling more often. The last on this. Yeah, yes. You're live on UBC. Live on UBC?
This is Doris calling from Lira.
Doris?
Doris calling from Lira.
Your concern, please.
My concern is if the government should fight against corruption, because if you come to education sector, you find if you want to be a government worker, you have to pay like some money, like you can even pay like 2 million,
Okay.
1 M, like that. So my concern is, if it is possible, the government should fight corruption.
Okay.
Yes,
Greetings to the people of Lila.
thank you.
Most welcome. Allow me go back to the studio. Karl Marx, you've heard from the people of Uganda, their concerns. You, the people of government, are not fighting corruption, and all the opportunities that would be created, the money is swindled. What are your concerns considering the ideas of the people and the concerns of Ugandans?
I want to thank the callers, firstly for tuning in, 2 for listening, and 3 for asking topical questions. Their concerns are legitimate, their concerns are fundamental. Having said that, it is...
Doris from Lila, Robert from Kayunga, Juma, they say they have issues with corruption.
Having said that, I would like to answer Juma from Busega, John Obot from Tororo, Helen from Matuga, Robert from Kayunga, and Doris from Lila as thus. Firstly, on the issue of corruption, government has institutionalized offices that are mandated with tackling this issue. The Inspectorate of Government, the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity, the State House and Corruption Unit, police. Please, if there are some concerns, if there are some challenges, Ugandans are free to report these matters directly to the concerned offices that I've highlighted.
Whose role to fight corruption?
The role of fighting corruption, first of all, begins with the citizen,
Okay.
who must approach, who must report these cases to the offices that I have outlined. Now, in terms of
our time is fast spent. Perhaps we're going to use seconds to raise our issues and address all these concerns, because we have only 20 minutes left for this program. Allow me get the Chisirinya. Robert said, John Oboti from Tororo says, when you go to the workplace, I think Agatha had mentioned about it. It is you who mentioned it actually. 3 years experience and you're out of university. Is it true that we're going to have 3 years sitting at home, volunteering without paying, that we may qualify for the job market in Uganda because they need 2-3 years experience?
And I can tell you, if you years at home without work, then you won't even have the experience. So,
what should we do?
So perhaps you'll never be employed in life.
I know.
But first of all, let me also thank the callers for the very good insights and questions that they have actually raised. I think they are so pertinent in the employment arena today. Now, where do you get experience? This is a huge question that we are struggling with as a country. You know, so what we have to do as a country is to create opportunities where people can get experience, where people can be enrolled without experience, but they gather experience as they work. That is why for us as Private Sector Foundation, we have come forward and put forward a program that is going to help 1,000 young graduates from the university to acquire experience. Secondly, there is an area that somebody mentioned about incentives that are given to some investors and then not to others. Our view as Private Sector Foundation, the incentives are okay, they can be given, but let them be given to every player. Let them be equitable to all.
Okay. Agatha, you've heard from the people of Uganda. What is your perception?
I thank all the callers that called in with issues that are really pertinent.
Helen says that teachers in schools,
yes,
you find that they are less. We have more schools, we have more teachers who are unemployed. Where is the problem? How best can we solve that?
Yeah, I was also touched by that issue. We have categories of workers. Some workers are given more assignments, like the example she gave of one person having to play the role of 3 people, yet would have gotten in some other 2 people to come and get that employment. There's a question mark there. What is the problem? Sometimes we find that especially people don't want to go to the rural areas for employment. Me who is in that sector, I know the institution I serve, National Transport Corporation, is an institution that is all over the country.
But can you be put in Kaberamaido?
Yes. You can work
or
anywhere,
Ntungamo.
and our contracts are very clear on that. You are supposed to work anywhere. But still, even with such open contracts, we find people still contesting not to be transferred to some areas.
Yeah.
We have people working in Karamoja and Morota and what? People don't want to go to work in those areas, yet the jobs are there. When we go to the nursing sector and the doctors and so on, still the same problem.
What needs to be
As people are asking for employment, you know, government should come up with clear policies. Some of these professionals really study on government money. Yes, at university.
And after they invest in their own.
Yes, they should be given, they should actually work for government for some time, especially in those key areas. Teachers, doctors, and what. Give their services. Services should flow. They should not only be in urban settings and what, but they should also go to rural settings.
Agatha.
So mindset of people is also very important. He thinks when he goes to Kisoro, he will not earn as much as when he comes to Kampala. But that is just a perception that people have. Go out there and try it out. People are there who have worked there for many years.
Agatha,
not born in the area.
The educated, the educated and many others, the professors, the ministers of this country and the men who are rich and women are not interested in investing in your own economy. You prefer investing in Kenya, Ethiopia, US and Asia, not here in Uganda. Why? Are you not denying yourselves or your own job opportunities by not investing here?
That's a challenge that is on ground. I know some people have gone ahead and invested elsewhere. But my issue is people should love their own country. Why should you go and invest somewhere when you have a country where you're going to demand for services? You are the same people who are going to talk about unemployment, the same people who are going to talk about taxes, the same, services not reaching the people. Yet they are the very persons who are churning out the money. And I don't only look at Ugandans, but I also look at these foreign investors. Their money is actually taken back to their country. The expatriates, they don't spend a lot of money here in Uganda. They'll still get the money there.
What do you think should be done?
Policies should be available here.
That you have had a profit of $1,000 million as profit, and we must share.
There's always social responsibility. Yes. At least our policies are the ones which are weak and are not implemented. So if you work on our policies, you should put people accountable for the activities they are doing. If you, especially to handle this issue of corruption, everyone has mentioned corruption.
Government will tell you they have put mechanisms and policies, but they have failed to be implemented. Who is to blame? Are we the people of Uganda that know that the policies are there?
All of us have to be blamed for corruption, because a person can't be corrupt alone. He's helped by another. So my issue would be to start from the young generation.
So for how long are we going to have policies and policies on paper but not implemented?
Mindset issues in our young children.
Okay.
Because for me, I've seen such things. You go to a school, there are rules. And the very parent who is supposed to, implement the rules is breaking them. What example are you giving to those children? I can give an example. I had my kid in Nabisosa one time. But, one day, we're not allowed to take eats in a non-visiting day if you're going to check progress. But one time I saw people then I asked this girl, how come? They say, Mommy, I think you're the only one who follows that rule. So what kind of children are we bringing up? So we are corrupting the young ones. If we are corrupting the young ones, then this society will never change. We need to start with these young ones to show them the right position, even at our homes.
All right. Thank you so much, Agatha. Karl Marx, we believe that considering the population of Uganda, perhaps the government or the private sector, the Francis Sirinyas, the Rembes of this country, may not be given the opportunity to provide all the opportunities for all Ugandans. But also Ugandans have the capacity to start their own businesses and other that they may feel comfortable. When they run to the banks to get the loans, the interest is high. But they go ahead and borrow. At the end of the day, considering the economy and how things are going in this country, prices are high. They end up not paying the loan. Not that their discipline of payment, they have bad payment discipline, but because of the economy and how things are running in this country. At the end of the day, properties are taken. When the government is watching, what is the problem and how best can we solve that to help the people of Uganda?
Well, thank you very much. The private sector, I must emphasize, is so important in this country, and it is at the forefront of the country's macroeconomic framework. Private sector-led growth. We have 713,820 private sector players in this country as registered by Uganda Registration Services Bureau. Very important. However, as you've mentioned, it is true that the interest rate is quite high in this country at between 20 to 24% per annum. But government is also playing a role. There are parallel government programs in place that are trying to help other people who would want to venture into private enterprises. Emyoga is one of them. Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program is another one. Youth Livelihood Program is another one. And a myriad of others. So that is one of the areas where government is intervening. And as you can see, Bank of Uganda has been trying to restructure debts. I'm sure you have been following, especially debts that were contracted during the COVID period, to ensure that the repayment schedules are a little bit prolonged and made comfortable for the borrowers to pay. And also, of course, the central bank has also been trying to cut or to lower what is called the central bank lending rate, say that banks now can also lower their lending rates to borrowers. That's what government is trying to do to ensure that private capital can access loans, and then those ones who don't have collateral security can also access capital from formal banking institutions and also others such as SACCO.
Okay.
If you look at, for example, Emyoga, they have been able to lend through 3,450 SACCOs at the sub-county level. To me, those are the initiatives really that government is trying to put in place to ensure financial deepening for those ones who don't have collateral.
Isn't government able to reduce this rate to about 10 or even 5 or even less than that? Why would the government sideline? To whose side is the government? To the people of Uganda or to the money lenders, institutions and companies?
Government is on the side of the people of Uganda. But as
even when we have reached 20% rate?
But as you very well know, most of our commercial banks are foreign, with maybe not more than 3 that are domestic. But as I've told you, government is trying all it can do to ensure that the interest rates are lowered. One, through making sure that the central bank lending rate is lowered, and it has been oscillating between, say, 11 to 12%, say that these other banks can also lower their interest rates. And two, as I said, if there are some Ugandans who cannot effectuate businesses using these conventional commercial bank loans, then there are some other financial outlays at SACCO level, at microfinance institution level, at some other micro-deposit taking institutions to borrow and other government development programs.
Kisirinya, from the private sector, people are poor. They would love to get the loan from either the money lenders or the companies or even banks. When they reach there, they want security. But who has the security? Who has the land? Who owns the car and is able to give the card? Is this economy only for the rich?
Thank you very much, Amon. I can tell you, you really have framed this very well. And it responds very much to our challenge of why we have unemployment. Just to step back a bit, one of the solutions that we see that will handle and address unemployment challenges in the country is by encouraging and motivating those that cannot get a formal job to create their own business. And this is the message that we really must drive all of us. But there are so many pertinent challenges that are creating this particular problem. You have mentioned the challenge of access and cost of money. It's incredible. You know, to get a loan, you got to have track record. You can imagine somebody who is coming out of school and is being told you can open your own business. Maybe he has created an app. All right, young person. Now, to get money, to rent somewhere and drive their business, they say, okay, they go to the bank. They immediately, when we go to the bank, they say, give us a land title. How long have you been trading? Give us experience. So it becomes a very difficult thing for people to really survive by running their own businesses. Okay. But what we are doing and what we suggest should happen very clearly, as to complete the puzzle and the piece, young people must be given trainings in entrepreneurship. You can get the technical skills, very good. You can get the academic degree, very good. But you should also be added on entrepreneurship skills. Okay. Entrepreneurship skills unlock so many things in running businesses. The second thing is young people should be given opportunities, safe spaces through which they can start their businesses and grow it gradually. All incubation right. centers. Agatha? Incubation centers must come in. Thirdly, is for us to ensure that when banks now know that young people have got training, young people are in incubation centers, they might be willing to reconsider whether they will ask for a land title or not. And in PSF, we have been able to succeed to do this. We have a cohort of young people we are working with under what we call the Lead Farm Structure Project, where banks are not asking for correlato and where banks are lending at very low rates.
All right. Agatha, how best do you think the loan access payment should be dealt with in this country?
I think our financial institutions should also rethink their strategies because they are very, very key players on this issue of unemployment and people coming up with working capital. I've seen some banks like I think Equity. It has some loans that are much more friendly. But we need really to support. Capital is something that everyone thinks about as he thinks of an enterprise trickle capital. And if we don't address that gap, I think we will continue with the same story. So financial institutions guided by Bank of Uganda, because for me I feel if Bank of Uganda is able to guarantee some of these loans and our youth are able to access them at a low level, then they can be assisted to set up their businesses. But also we need to train our youth on financial management. It's also very key because some people are given money and even if you tell him to account or write down the expenses and so on. So financial management also should be impacted to people, apart from only doing skills in a particular field. But financial management is very, very, very key. How is our saving culture? We should also improve on that. Because if you have a saving culture, you can be able to grow your business even from very little to really a big, big enterprise. And we should also encourage people to start small. Start with the little you have before you think of a very, very big venture. Because sometimes if you've taken a very big venture, you might lose all your money in it at once. But when you start small, you learn from the mistakes, you learn from the failures, and are able to build up an enterprise that is very bigger. And the issues of also transparency and integrity and corruption. Those issues are very, very key if we are to handle and get the resources that we need. Let's use that money for what it's meant for. If you go for a loan, you're going for a loan to start a business. Then at the end of the day, people go and get married, they get more wives and so on. Those are the challenges we have seen in the field. These are things we have seen. So that is also something. Set your mind. Today we are having midterm access to NSSF. What are you going to use that money for? And you start a business instead of thinking of a luxury like a car, which is going to be a liability. Think about putting it into an investment that will help you in the future as you age. So let's even focus on where do we put our money. Sometimes we focus on putting it in areas that are really, really over-congested. That if you get there, the competition would be too high and you do not realize what you wanted to set out for.
All right. Gentlemen and the lady, I would love to get your opinions about COVID-19, and what it caused in this country, and we are still facing its effects. Many lost their jobs, business closed down. Still, people, as we were talking about loans, property taken by the money lenders, starting with Karl Marx. What do you think Ugandans need to do, especially those who were or are still being affected by COVID-19, in as far as employment and employment are concerned?
One, it's unfortunate that the pandemic happened. The first point of what Ugandans need to do is to build resilience. We must be resilient. We must continue, because you will never get a world without challenges. You will never get a world without problems. Having said that, it is important that we learn from what happened. If we were operating in a particular manner, then it is necessary at times to adopt another paradigm.
Okay.
And three, government must help Ugandans, as it is already doing. We must maybe scale up, we must do more to help people try and offset the upshoots of the COVID-19.
All right. Kisirinya?
Thank you very much. I think the biggest thing that we should pick from COVID is the lessons that have come from it. What have we learned? I think for us, what we've learned is that the world is going to change in some ways, whether you like it or not. So you should develop the capabilities to adapt to changes very quickly.
Okay.
If you have been trading, opening your shop and people coming to buy, now COVID shut that down. You created other mechanisms through which you can reach your customers, for instance, using e-commerce and so on and so forth. Then the second thing that we learn from this is very important to live and learn to save some money for a rainy day. So important. The third one is we need to diversify. If we are businesses, we need to diversify so that if there is a challenge in one business, then you could actually solve that challenge through another business. Those are the three things that I think we learned from COVID and we must do going forward.
Agatha Namrembe Alembe?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to really repeat what my colleagues have said, but for me what I would think we should learn from COVID is the opportunities that were opened up. As people were at home, other opportunities opened up. For example, delivery services. This is something that we had shown the increase. Online marketing, and also having different sources of income. Don't focus on only one source of income.
Okay.
And also the different methods of work. We have been looking at work as office, but now we are working from anywhere. You can work from anywhere. And that creates a lot of opportunities if you can really manage your time. So also time management has taught us something. You can divide your days and be in office for some hours and work from some hours, and you can do very many activities. As you do your Zoom meetings, there's something else you're also working on. Okay. So it has opened up our minds of not to only focus in one area, but also to look at other areas.
Okay.
Lastly, what it has also opened up our eyes is to look attentively on our health. How do we manage our health? How do you behave? Do we do exercise? Do you feed properly? Are we eating our fruits and vegetables? Because if your body was infested with the COVID virus and it was healthy enough to build its own antibodies, you are able to fight COVID off.
Okay.
Those who are weak were not able to survive. So health was also something that highlights, and we encourage exercises to go on.
Our time is fast spent. We may not go beyond this, and I'm going to give you a few seconds to have your last comments on this very topic. But most importantly, as you conclude, I have this question in my mind that always goes on. For how long are we going to keep recruiting our friends, not professionals? For how long are we not going to recruit experts, but expatriates? For how long are we going to have patriots being running this country, not those who are money-minded? For how long? Starting with Xilinya, 1 minute as we end up.
I thank you very much, and as we wind down, I first of all want to thank the presenter, as well as the listeners out there for having listened to us. Secondly, I want to congratulate the workers. I think tomorrow we'll be celebrating Workers' Day, so congratulations about it.
And sorry for those who are not working.
And those who are not working, it's so unfortunate. The third one is, how do we, as we discussed, what I have learned out of this is that we can create our jobs. We just have to look at where the opportunities are, network, get the knowledge, look at the support systems that are available in your areas. The parish development model, the MIOGAs, our own programs as PSFU. All these things can help you to start your own job if you don't have one.
Thank you. Agatha?
Thank you so much for this program. It has been so enlightening. But one thing that I want to leave as a message is we need to change our mindsets about jobs and employment and the value that we give particular jobs, and also be very, very innovative. And we also need government to make sure that it passes policies that are enabling, that will help our future generation to move out of this bracket that we are in. Look beyond. There are some employers who don't want to employ people who are more educated and skilled than them, because they think they will take up their jobs. But I know we are in this all together, so we can still help each other. Don't fear to employ someone, thinking that that person will take up this job. It has been a challenge in the job markets. We have seen it in our workplaces, where someone would rather bring a person who he knows doesn't have the capacity to handle the job. So I'm responding to what you're saying. How do we remove from that vicious cycle? But let's be positive. Let's all contribute. Let's not leave this struggle of unemployment to only government. But who is government anyway?
Okay.
It's every one of us.
Thank you. Karl Marx, seconds.
Thank you very much. What you have alluded to is what we call imperfections in the labor market, and the government is doing everything possible to make sure that they are addressed, and it is everybody's responsibility here. And last, as I conclude, I would like to mention that the government is aware of all these challenges that people have put across, and we shall continue
and silent about them,
to work diligently to ensure that they are solved as quickly as practically we can. And I would love to wish everybody a happy Labor Day celebration or celebrations tomorrow. And thank you for hosting us.
Most welcome. This is UBC Ground Zero. We've been broadcasting live on 98 FM, UBC Radio. We're also live and clear on our sister radio stations, UBC Butebo, Western Nile FM, and Magic 100 FM. We're also streaming live on YouTube. It is UBC Ground Zero. In case you want to make a follow-up of this very program, create time to visit our YouTube. But also, this very program has a repeat, always on Sunday at 3 p.m. You may as well create time for that. We're discussing locally ground solutions against unemployment in Uganda. In the studios, I had Mosing's Karl Marx, Senior Labor Officer from the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. Agatha Namirembe Alembe, Chairperson from Uganda Public Employees Union. Francis Sirinya is the Chief Membership Officer from Private Sector Foundation Uganda, and we've learned a lot. I believe that we have to be innovative to fit in society, be competitive to be the best candidate in case opportunity knocks, be there for each other, study not to pass exams, but you study knowing that you're studying to fit and qualify for the job market, and be a patriot. I believe one day this problem will be solved, and I pray that the concerned parties, especially the government and all the Ugandans, fight this, especially corruption that is hindering the development and the creation of job opportunities in Uganda. From all of us at UBC, we wish you all the best. Stay tuned for UBC. For other programs on UBC Butebo, on UBC Western Nile, and on Magic 100 FM. Even here on UBC Red, George Ngobi is coming with On the Journey, the literature program. For God and My Country, Amon Ortega. Allow me to sign out.
That was Ground Zero Season 2, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, inspiring Uganda. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land